the Las Vegas Raiders have officially started the process of finding a new general manager to fill the position left by Tom Telesco. They're beginning to reach out to potential candidates, and today we'll talk about two of the people they've already contacted. One of them, John Spytek, is a notable candidate who has already been scheduled for an interview with the Raiders in the coming week. Spytek, currently the assistant general manager for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, has built an impressive career, which makes him a strong contender for the job. Let's take a closer look at his background. Spytek has a wealth of experience in the NFL, having worked for several teams over the years. His career began with the Detroit Lions, and then he moved on to the Philadelphia Eagles. During his time with the Eagles, he gained significant experience, even focusing on the college side of scouting. Later, he became the director of college scouting for the Cleveland Browns. This diverse experience has given Spytek a deep understanding of the game, both from the college level and the pro ranks, making him an excellent fit for the Raiders' GM position. John Spytek's most recent role has been with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he worked on the player personnel side. His work there played a key role in the Buccaneers winning the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago. To understand his expertise, it helps to know the difference between two key roles in football management: the Director of College Scouting and the Director of Player Personnel. The Director of College Scouting focuses on evaluating college players for the NFL Draft, while the Director of Player Personnel handles current NFL players, including free agents from other teams. Spytek's impact was especially clear when the Buccaneers successfully brought Tom Brady over from the New England Patriots. As a former teammate of Brady, Spytek likely had a unique connection that helped in convincing the legendary quarterback to join the Buccaneers. His role in this move was crucial to the team's success, culminating in their Super Bowl victory. What's also impressive is that Spytek was a big part of building a strong roster for the Buccaneers, not just during Brady's time, but even in the years leading up to it. His ability to shape competitive teams, even without a star quarterback, speaks volumes about his talent as a talent evaluator and team builder. The Buccaneers' success under Spytek's leadership didn't always result in immediate wins, but they consistently fielded strong teams, particularly with a defense that was always competitive. While the quarterback position was a missing piece, it was Tom Brady's arrival that brought everything together, helping the team finally claim a Super Bowl victory. Spytek's ability to help assemble competitive teams, even without a standout quarterback at first, speaks to his skills as a talent evaluator and builder. Looking at the broader NFL landscape, many successful general managers are those who have worked their way up through various roles, learning the ropes and gaining experience before finally getting the chance to lead a team. John Spytek might just be one of those individuals who earns that opportunity with the Raiders. There have been some conflicting reports about whether Spytek has already had a second interview with the Raiders, but as of now, it seems likely that this upcoming interview will be his first. Regardless of the details, his qualifications make him a strong contender for the role. John Spytek is certainly an intriguing candidate for the Raiders' general manager position, but there's another individual who stands out to me even more: John Eric Sullivan, the Vice President of Player Personnel for the Green Bay Packers. According to reports, the Raiders have expressed interest in Sullivan, officially submitting a request to interview him for the vacant GM position. It's important to note that this is just an initial request and doesn't mean an interview is already scheduled or that it's a second-round conversation. Still, it's clear that the Raiders are at least taking a serious look at Sullivan. One of the most interesting aspects of Sullivan's career is that he hasn't been in the NFL for as long as some other candidates. He spent the majority of his time with the Green Bay Packers, where he's gained valuable experience. Additionally, Sullivan is the son of Jerry Sullivan, a well-respected figure in NFL personnel circles, which likely helped shape his approach to scouting and player development. His relatively fresh perspective and strong background in player personnel make him an exciting option for the Raiders. John Eric Sullivan has an interesting and varied background in football, and his rise through the ranks shows his dedication and versatility. His journey began back in 2001 when he was a student at Gardner-Webb University. He got his start coaching wide receivers before transitioning to a college scouting role, where he spent several years covering the Central Plains and Southeast regions. His time as a college scout helped lay the foundation for his future success. Sullivan eventually made the leap to the NFL, spending 2 seasons as the director of college scouting before continuing to climb the ladder. His hard work paid off in 2022 when he was promoted to vice president of player personnel after serving as the co-director for 4 seasons. His transition from college scouting to player personnel is a common career path in the NFL, as many professionals begin in college scouting before moving into player personnel roles. This progression speaks to his growing expertise in identifying talent both from the college level and within the NFL itself, making him a well-rounded and capable candidate for a general manager position. Climbing the ranks in player personnel is a natural path to becoming a general manager in the NFL, and it makes sense why. A big part of success as a GM involves building and maintaining strong relationships with current NFL players. Whether it's drafting talent and bringing them onto the team or negotiating contracts when those players' deals are up, the GM has to keep these players happy and ensure their long-term success with the team. Retaining talent like Max Crosby or Malcolm Kunze isn't as simple as just drafting them. It requires skillful negotiation and understanding of what players need and want. This is where experience on the player personnel side, like what Eric Sullivan has, becomes invaluable. He's not just familiar with scouting new talent, he understands how to manage player relationships, which is essential for a GM. The Raiders are currently exploring two strong candidates for the job, John Spytek, whom they're meeting with, and Eric Sullivan, who they've requested to interview. Both of these men have solid credentials and will face significant challenges, but their diverse experience positions them well to take on the role. The work ahead for whoever steps into the general manager role will be demanding, and these candidates are certainly up for the task. The next general manager of the Raiders will face the challenge of addressing a key issue that was present under Tom Telesco's leadership: contract extensions. Telesco did not extend contracts for several players who were entering the final year of their deals, like Marcus Epps and Robert Spillane. These players had signed multi-year contracts, but were left without extensions. In fact, Telesco didn't seem to offer any contract extensions for the Raiders this year, which raises questions about whether that was a strategic decision, a matter of personal choice, or if owner Mark Davis simply wanted to wait until the end of the season to make contract decisions. It's also possible that Telesco preferred to bring in his own players rather than focus on the existing roster. For the new GM, the challenge will be balancing the future of current players with the need to build a team that fits their vision. In the coming weeks, the Raiders are expected to make a decision and hire a new general manager. Whoever takes on this role will need to address contract negotiations and player retention, ensuring they keep key players while shaping the roster according to their plan for the team's future. The decisions made in the next couple of months will be crucial to the Raiders' success moving forward. In the next couple of weeks, the Raiders will not only hire a new general manager, but also a head coach. As this process unfolds, it's clear that many of the current free agents on the team are unlikely to return next season. This situation mirrors what happened when Tom Telesco took over, as players like Amik Robertson and Josh Jacobs, among others, were allowed to leave or not brought back. A key factor in those decisions was that Telesco didn't draft many of these players and felt they didn't fit his vision for the team's future. The new GM, whether it's Spytek, Sullivan, or another candidate, will likely follow a similar approach. They might look at players like Adam Butler and decide he's not worth the money, or evaluate someone like Marcus Epps or Robert Spillane and decide not to retain them. As a result, there will likely be changes to the roster, with certain players either being released or simply not re-signed. This turnover is part of the process as the new GM works to build a team that aligns with their vision for the future. It will be fascinating to see which players are retained and which ones are allowed to walk in the coming months. One of the most important aspects of building a successful team, particularly when aiming for a Super Bowl, is retaining the talent you've drafted. Take Nate Hobbs, for example. He's one of the best slot cornerbacks in the NFL, and his value goes beyond just his ability and coverage. Playing as a slot cornerback is very different from playing as a boundary cornerback, just like a nose tackle has a different role than a three-tech defensive tackle. The responsibilities vary greatly, and Hobbs excels in his position. What sets Hobbs apart is his consistency and his all-around ability. He's a great tackler, his run defense is strong, and his understanding of his responsibilities and coverage is exceptional. Given that he was drafted by the Raiders, he's exactly the kind of player that the new general manager will want to retain. While I'm not entirely sure of the round in which he was picked, though I believe it was the 4th round, his performance since entering the league has shown that he's a valuable asset for the team. Keeping players like Hobbs, who have proven their worth, is key to long-term success. Nate Hobbs has only gotten better with each season, and as he heads into his 5th year in the NFL, it's clear that he has the potential to remain a key contributor for the Raiders over the next few years. His continued growth shows that he's not just a good player now, but someone who will be even better in the future. Players like Hobbs, who are young and have a lot of potential ahead of them, are the types of players the new general manager should focus on retaining. Along with Hobbs, Trayvon Mullen is another player who has seen a lot of action and proven his value. Mullen, too, has the potential for continued growth, and he's a player that should be kept around for the future. Both Hobbs and Mullen are young players who, over the next 3 to 4 years, could be at their peak. They're the type of talent that helps a team build a strong foundation. On the other hand, players like Robert Spillane and Marcus Epps, while solid, may not have the same long-term potential. If the Raiders choose not to bring them back, it wouldn't be a huge surprise, especially if the new general manager or coaching staff wants to take the team in a new direction. Ultimately, the decision to retain players will come down to the vision of the GM and coaching staff, but keeping younger talent with upside will be essential for building a successful team for years to come. The Raiders have already started interviewing candidates for the general manager position, and over the next few days, we can expect to see even more interviews take place. With a decision expected soon, there's one key factor that's influencing the process: Tom Brady. His presence and input are having a significant impact on the direction the Raiders may take with both their general manager and head coach hires. Brady's influence has been discussed in previous videos, and it's clear that his involvement is playing a big role in shaping the team's future. As the Raiders move forward in their search for the right candidates, it's interesting to think about whether there are other people they should consider for these positions who haven't been brought up yet. Who do you think the Raiders should look into as potential general managers or head coaches? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates in the next video.